Hey everybody, this is Dominic, joined by my dog Kuhn here on my lap. And in this video, I want to talk about online discussions and go into a little bit of what I feel are some of the important things to keep in mind if you're going to utilize online discussions in your course. Recently, CVTC did an online needs assessment to look at what are some of the things that students are saying about our online courses, what are working well, what are some things that they would like to see improved. One of the pieces of feedback that came out of that needs assessment was that online discussions were something students were getting tired of, and they wanted to see some alternatives to those. Now, I think there's a lot of great alternatives that we can have for online discussions, but are online discussions in themselves a bad thing? I don't think they are, but I think we need to have a few things in mind if we're going to utilize online discussions. And so I'm going to go over 5 ideas that I have when it comes to deciding if you're going to have an online discussion and how you're going to facilitate it. So let me just get into what these 5 things are. And the first one is decide if a discussion is the best learning activity. I think that discussions can often get overused, and they can often be utilized for activities that really are not discussions. They might be activities that are better suited for an essay or better suited for some other deliverable. Keep in mind that a discussion is where people are sharing their different points of view and building upon each other's ideas. I think a fundamental piece of making a good online discussion activity is framing it in such a way that students are going to build upon each other's ideas and share their points of view. So this is something to consider. I can give you an example from when I was going through my master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages. One discussion that I recall is one in which we discussed the different theories of second language acquisition. We went through several of them, and it was our job in a discussion activity to decide which of the theories did we feel resonated most with us as instructors when it came to helping our students acquire a second language, and then give rationale as to why we feel that way. Now, there was no correct answer because all of the theories were relevant. All of the theories had valid points. But we were able to provide our perspectives, we were able to give rationale, and we were able to build upon those ideas. That was a great example of an activity in which a discussion was a very suitable option. So that's one thing to consider. The next thing to consider is use critical thinking prompts. It's important that when you are structuring your discussion, you don't want to frame it in such a way that students are asked to simply say, "Do you agree?" Or do you think this is a good idea? You want to make sure that students are being tasked with thinking a little more deeply about these topics. One of the ways that you can do this is think of prompts that give students the chance to critique an idea, or make sure that if you are having them provide their opinion, they have to back it up with some rationale, okay? Or maybe have them take an idea from their coursework and have them apply it to a situation, and then have reflection based upon how they applied that idea to a given situation, okay? We don't want to create prompts in which students are simply going to copy and paste what they got out of a textbook, because there's no critical thinking happening at that point. Next, students are more willing to discuss when they know each other. And this is especially important to talk about in an online context. It's very often the case, and I've talked about this in other videos, where online classrooms can feel very isolated. And students can often feel like they're just in this class by themselves. And occasionally they might see some interaction from other students, but otherwise they're just doing this thing on their own. And that's not really going to foster a lot of collaboration to occur. And when you post a discussion, students are probably not going to feel that willing to interact with their peers if they don't even really know who they are. So how can we do this? Well, I would really encourage to utilize a video platform to give students the chance to see each other, to hear each other's voices, to have them share a little bit about who they are and why they're there. And by doing that, the students start to see each other as actual people and not just some random entity that is apparently in the course with them. Online discussions can actually occur through video, though I think that depending upon the learning activity, it may be more appropriate and just logistically easier if you're utilizing a discussion board. But in any case, it's very important from day one that you are giving the students the opportunity to get to know each other. And when it comes to online, I think that utilizing video is a fantastic way to make that happen. One quick shout out for an application that you could use to do this is Flipgrid. If you haven't already looked at Flipgrid, I would highly encourage you to do so. It's a great way of giving students the chance to quickly record a video and display it in such a way that they can easily see their peers and hear what they have to say. Next up, you as the instructor have to be present. And this is something that I've talked about before as well. But the fact is, when you are conducting an online course, it is not something that you simply turn on and it goes on autopilot. Throughout the course, you have got to be active, giving your students feedback. And in a discussion, this is a great opportunity not only for you to encourage those students who are coming up with some cool ideas, but also it's an opportunity for you to stir the pot a little bit. Now, what I mean by that is that often in online discussions, students are unwilling to disagree with each other. They will feel it's a little awkward. They'll feel like they are saying that their classmate is wrong and they don't want to create conflict. And so you'll often see online discussions where all the students are agreeing with each other. And maybe they are agreeing for good reasons, but maybe they're just not feeling willing to critique, to have a contrary perspective. And if that's the case, you as the instructor can pose those contrary perspectives. Of course, doing so in a respectful way and doing so in such a way where the student doesn't feel like they did something wrong. You simply want to provide a contrary point of view and ask for their input, see what they think. Okay, so it's super important that you are present. You don't need to reply to every single student's post in a discussion. And actually, what I would recommend is provide some replies to different students from week to week. Make sure you alternate a little bit if possible. You're always going to notice that certain students want to post more than others, and that might be okay, as long as everyone is getting something out of it. But you can also provide video feedback in those weekly check-in videos, where you talk to the whole class about the entire discussion as a whole. What's great about that is you can do one video that's applicable to the entire discussion that occurred. So you've got to be present. Next up, set parameters and expectations. It's really important that students know, why are we having this discussion? What am I expected to talk about? We don't want to just have it completely open-ended. Okay, so not only is it going to be focused in on a particular set of content from the course, but you're also going to provide some prompts to the students. You're going to give them a little bit of direction of, okay, in this discussion, I want you to look at these theories and I want you to apply them to one of the following situations, or something like that. By giving a little bit of structure, the students will feel more confident to post, and that's incredibly important. With confidence, you're going to have more discussion. And also, when I say expectations, I think it's important that you make sure that students know, okay, not only do I have to post in this discussion, but I need to provide some feedback to my peers. And what does that feedback look like? We could just say, post in the discussion and reply to 2 people. Okay. Sure. We're hoping that those students will reply with something thoughtful, but maybe give them some ideas of how they could reply. What are some ideas? You could say, reply to a peer with a question that you have about what they had posted, or reply to a peer with an idea that you have that builds upon the idea they presented, okay? Or something like that, where you are actually giving them a little bit of direction in how they can reply, okay? Parameters and expectations are going to lead to a more healthy discussion than something that's completely open-ended. So those are just a few of my ideas when it comes to facilitating online discussion. There are other best practices out there that I think are worth looking into, but to me, those are important things to keep in mind. I'll also mention that for those of you who are using the Canvas LMS, like we at CVTC, I would say that it's important that when you are building an online discussion, you want to actually make 2 assignments. The first assignment is for the discussion itself. That's going to go on the student's to-do list. It's going to let them know, hey, you need to go post in this discussion. Then we're going to make a secondary assignment, which is going to be simply, hey, go back to that discussion that we did earlier, and I want you to go to reply to your peers. Again, give them some ideas of what they should say within those replies. But by doing that, you're giving them a couple of to-do list items. You could even potentially do a third if you want that discussion to really pick up and have more and more replies and more in-depth discovery. But that's something to keep in mind as you're building your discussions in the Canvas LMS. But I hope this was helpful when it comes to building discussions in your online courses. Again, I think online discussions are a fantastic tool as long as we're using them appropriately. So, thank you very much for watching.